for September 22nd. It's 7:05 p.m. And let's see here. If we could do the roll call, please.
Yes. Christy Eclair.
Here.
Catherine Consalvo. Sierra Dulce. Julie Hammond. Michael Mascola.
Here.
Todd McCormick.
Here.
Sue Sherman.
Here.
Karen White. Here. Beautiful.
All right. Karen, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now, if I could get a motion to approve the minutes from August 25th, please.
Can we get the minutes to reflect that Mark Sherwood is here this evening representing the school board, I believe?
Thank you.
Ouch.
Sorry.
What do we?
We need a motion to approve the minutes from the 25th, August 25th. Anyone?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Please read them over. All right, anyone see anything that needs any changing? All right, I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And abstain?
Aye.
Abstentions. Okay. Do we have any correspondence, Maria?
No, we haven't get any emails into the inbox.
Okay. No delegations and individuals. And we are on to new business. So first up tonight is going to be our chair of the school board, Steve, for the school board budget presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Interesting on this side. Now I can understand. Wow.
You were on this side at one time, but it was remote, though.
Yes,
Remember, Steve?
that is true.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for having me tonight. Just really quick, our budget is, our proposed budget is up about $990 over last year's budget. I think a couple of the big expense items that I want to just highlight are on our legal fee line. We're looking to increase that by $25,000. Some of the reasoning behind that is that we have multiple union negotiations going on and will continue to go on. And so just being prepared to use additional legal fees for those. So other than that, it's pretty much a level set budget.
How many negotiations are going on right now, Steve?
There are 4.
4 going on right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions for Steve?
So can we talk about the legal line for a minute?
Sure.
Do we have some detail on that? We do. Just catch up with myself, Steve.
Yeah, no, take your time, please.
Yeah, page 3.
Page 3. So we voted last year 175,000. What did we spend? Let's see.
290. 219.
219 was the actual spend on that line.
Now, last year.
And I
we
believe
also
last year there
had
were,
Negotiations
there were-
as well.
there were 4 negotiations last year
It's
as
been
well.
overspent every
Yeah.
year for 5 years.
Actually, there were
Court
5.
cases and court
Mm-hmm.
costs and
Yeah, we're hoping
that are
that,
not necessarily negotiations, they were court costs.
Right.
Because the school board was involved with court cases,
that's
True.
also correct, yes.
lawsuits.
What was that report?
Yeah. Hoping to stay away from that this year.
I hope so too. And I hope that to be perfectly honest, speaking for personally, I'd like to see the negotiations go smoothly and people are treated well. And we don't overspend that line again,
Yeah,
with
I
nitpicking.
fully agree with you, Sue.
Because every time we call another meeting, we pay our lawyers more money.
Yeah,
They're deserving to be paid as are others. Okay, that, I answered my own question. Thank you, nice job.
There you go.
By looking at the detail instead of trying to question you on the detail.
that's okay.
All right. I'm comfortable with that. I
Hard to
mean, we're here to make sure that we're budgeting properly for what to expect, right? So I agree with Sue. I hope you underspend it, but, better to be prepared. It has been grossly overspent over the last few years of what we budgeted, so. But maybe we'll sit here a year from now and say, look, they only spent 125, so let's get back to, get
And
back
yet there's
down
money
to
in
normal.
that particular line for going to conferences, and they have not attended conferences, which is a shame.
Yeah.
This community puts money away so that school board members can be better educated about how to be a good school board, and yet they don't attend the conferences.
They, actually on that, I want to say that they haven't had them, because of course the last 2 years they didn't have them, so that's why they couldn't attend, so. Because the year before that, they did attend, but the last 2 years,
I'm
not that I wanna make an excuse, but.
Take advantage
but
and
we did
go to
not.
a few conferences if there's money in the budget for.
I agree. It's a good opportunity. I also have to say that here at the SAU, our superintendent has drive a big collective effort of not contacting legal before we, as a leadership team, discuss it, because maybe he knows the answer of something, or I know the answer that not necessarily the director of student services knows. So he has been making a huge effort of all of us trying to solve before we make that phone call to legal. So that has been a huge, one of his biggest initiatives, is that don't contact legal until we absolutely know that we don't have the answer.
In-house, right.
But that, right, if it pertains to the school board, that legal line is school board expenses, not the whole legal line.
Oh, no, that's the entire district legal line.
Right.
Yeah, it's that any time that we call any attorney for any reason goes to this line.
Right.
So we're trying here at the SAU to make a big effort on, okay,
Not over-utilizing
yeah,
them.
let's try to see if we can have the answer somewhere else before we make that phone call. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an understanding that we will use legal when we absolutely need to, but we're not, and I can't speak to the past. I just know for this year, we've made, both the superintendent and I have said we will use legal when we absolutely need to, but not for things that we don't need to. So I think we're mindful of the understanding that there's a cost every time we use legal. And if we're able to, as Maria alluded to, use our internal resources to figure out problems, we'll do that. But, we'll use the legal team when we absolutely need to, and try not to if we don't.
Why did the NHSBA go down so much?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
No, NHSBA is the
Or what we-
18,000, is the 18,000.
Right, but we-
When that is other expenses.
I guess let me rephrase. We always budget 25,000, but we never spend anywhere near that. Why is
That's
that?
other expenses. Like the other category. It's things like almost like an emergency fund.
Okay,
But since they have never spent it, and that was in discussion, they discussed it at the board level that,
There was a real effort to cut any fat and to look historically at what was budgeted.
Good.
And if it hadn't been utilized historically and wasn't a reason to think that we would be utilizing it, let's cut that right out.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Mark just said, and I think we looked at the 19, 20, 21, spent and realized that, we're trying to be mindful with tax dollars.
Yep.
And so, if we don't need it, we don't want it on there.
Okay. Well, Steve, I mean, you've got a level funded budget here pretty much, so, we always like to see that. Is there anything you guys feel like you cut out of here that you feel like you need or would normally have had if you weren't trying to go for a level funded budget?
No, I don't think so. I think we're trying to, and I thank Carrie and Maria for their work on this, but I think we're trying to set a precedent that, and it should start with the board, that if there is money that we don't need, then we're not gonna budget for it. So we want to be mindful of the tax dollars that we're spending, so.
Okay.
Was there talk on the table that we're no longer going to use NSBA, New Hampshire School Board Association?
No.
No?
I think that was a citizen's petition that failed at the polls.
They would not use them, and they're a good resource.
They're a great resource.
very
Yep.
good.
Just for, again, from our perspective, with every policy that, comes out with new laws and things like that, they're the resource that we use. Without that level of understanding and notification and communication, we could find ourselves really behind the eight ball there. So I think not only is it a good use of funds, but it's one that we utilize quite often.
And you can get free legal counsel, advice from them.
I'll tell you, just being on the policies and procedure, as you well know, we lean on them heavily. And if we did not participate, we would have to triple our legal bill easily.
Yep.
Just because they're a resource. If somebody's doing the work for you, don't reinvent the wheel, right?
Is the attorney still Christina Barrett?
I think
The
so.
attorney for who?
The School Board Association?
Yes, I think so.
I don't know.
Pretty sure it is. I
Let
don't
me
think he's
see.
resigned.
I have never,
Uncertain.
probably Chris will know.
Does all the workshops, does all the talking. He has a staff.
Okay. If there's nothing else for Steve, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks,
My
Steve.
pleasure. Thanks for all your hard work, guys. Appreciate it.
And next up, we are going to be talking to Ken for technology. Welcome, Ken.
This is here. Thank you for having me tonight. Those of you that have been on this budget committee in the past probably remember me presenting two budgets to you. One was technology and one was business services, and we talked last year about combining those logically into one budget, which is what we did. With Maria's immense help, we put this together for you on one sheet. Do want to explain that the budget lines and their purposes have not changed at all. It's just logically under one budget we're calling technology now. So the combined budget of technology and business services proposed is $840,273. which is actually a decrease of $21,176 from last year. So there are 4 lines that change by more than $1,000, which is what our kind of mark is on putting those explanations down. And I can go through these one by one if you like. The first one is the new equipment line in technology, which is up $7,000. And this is due to a request to add some more digital signage to high school and the middle school. We have some signage there now. We just want to add some more locations and improve that system. If you've been down there, you may have seen it, and I think it's really good marketing for the school, and it gets a lot of information out there. The next one down is up roughly $23,475, and that's the replacement computers and equipment line. We have, there's some older Chromebook carts in the elementary schools. They're really starting to break down. We'd like to get those replaced over in a phased approach over the next few years. So I funded some money to start with that phased-in approach to get those replaced. We recently upgraded the Wi-Fi this past year, and we found that some of the switches, which are the boxes that everything plugs into, those switches, it's not like it's a problem right now, but because of the increased bandwidth and traffic on the Wi-Fi, we're finding those switches are getting taxed more than we'd like to see. So we'd like to get those proactively upgraded over the next couple of years. So we've put some extra money in for that. And then finally, Dean could probably talk to this a little bit if you had questions, but he has some tripods that we've had forever, but we'd like to get replaced. One-time purchase. I think they're like 10 years old, Dean, or something?
20.
Oh, only 20. So we replace them every 20 years. Right.
Made out of birch.
Dean doesn't take care of them at all.
Right. Yeah,
why they
next time,
lasted
Dean,
20 years.
we're 25 years next time. You gotta get to.
Can I just say that, since we're talking technology, that kudos should be directed to Dean, because I don't know if anyone else has seen what he's doing on Facebook, but he talked about this when we went on the tour. He's taking all this old VHS tape going back decades and transferring it all and digitizing it all. For anyone who's ever, graduated or gone through these schools, going back into the 90s. Yes, Dean?
Yes, yeah.
A lot from the 90s. It's mostly that.
Proms and prom walks and all this stuff. It's fantastic.
It's fascinating. I told him if you find any old footage of me, because I graduated from here, that's not going on. Otherwise, we're okay.
What year was that, 80?
I know. Well, maybe they didn't have videotape.
Yeah,
back then,
they
so
really-
they had paintings.
All right, sorry, Ken.
It's all right. The next, if you flip it over, at least on mine, it's on the back. There's a decrease of $54,314 in the information access fee line, and this is due to, we had funded a potential replacement for Power School, a migration period, which would have been this year. That ended up not being the case. We did not go with a replacement. I did have
you
to
didn't
fund
like
it,
it?
though. No, we kicked the tires on some other SISs, and we decided to stay with Power School. It's just practice we wanted to go through. It was a good exercise because we got everybody involved, teachers, admins, secretaries at the schools, and we found some things that we're actually tweaking with Power School and asking them to implement based on some of the other findings we had from the other SISs. But this line was to, in case we did, because we fund these things so early, we didn't go through the process yet, and that was last year. We finished up in the spring. We made our decision. So that line was going to go down regardless. Either we spent it this year and we moved to the new SIS, or we didn't spend it. So we'll end up giving that back. But regardless, that's why that line is so down, because of that extra line in there.
Okay.
And then the last one is just increases. It's called School CRM now, which used to be called Informative Visions. The price on that has just gone up more than, as you can see, $1,835, which went over that $1,000 threshold.
What's Infinite Visions keep track of?
It's our financial software, human resources repository. It does a lot for us.
You use it for budgeting and stuff
We
too.
do for
though.
budgeting. All these sheets here are out of Infinite Visions,
So
or school CRM.
So if you wanted to know how long a teacher had taught here? You'd go to that program and
No,
dial up?
no, for that you have to go, that only carries since 2011. We only have since 2011 in there, and for personnel, years of service, you have to go in their personnel file, because there's notations there that.
So there's no generated,
The state has, for in your specific question, the state has systems we could refer to. EIS is the, I don't know what the acronym stands for,
If
but
it's a
that's the
teacher,
system
yes,
that would
definitely.
track how long they've been teaching and where.
and where?
Yeah. It like tracks their certificates and certifications.
I
and
got
whatnot.
asked that last night.
What's that?
I got asked that last night, years of
okay.
service for
Oh,
people that
okay.
were
Oh, yeah.
retiring. And I
I
didn't have that
know-
information.
I know the Human Resources Department that we have now, Kathy Linton, which is the Human Resources Generalist. She has done so much work with that, like cleaning up, looking file by file. And she has a list of every employee, and she has gone literally employee by employee, reviewing their certifications, reviewing the Department of Education. So she has done a tremendous work. Maybe when she's done, it's something we can incorporate into the system and then keep up with it going forward. But what we have in the system right now, I would not rely on it.
Yeah.
Any questions for Ken?
I had a question. Can you just talk about the signage for the high school, middle school? What do you think about putting up and where and?
Yeah, I mean, we have it in front of the school now. I believe we're talking the CAFs. This is another Dean kind of project. Where are we talking? Do you have locations picked out, or?
I know at the middle school, they'll be in the cafeteria, and the high school as well. Right now, each of those two facilities has like one digital signage display, and it's just in the front office foyers when you go into the building. However, the students who don't necessarily go through that area, they never even see that content. So now that we have that for the welcome centers, there's more talk about where it could be more reachable to the students.
Is it similar to what's in the pack as well? I mean, I know we saw this during the
Yeah,
facility
same
tours.
application, like we, right in the back we have like the dual screens.
Mhm.
It's that same application in the same format, just customized content for each of those facilities.
Actually, I have to say, when we went to the Polar Tour, we
All of
we
that,
all
yeah.
noticed, we noticed at the entrance, you have one there now, yeah. And I like it, it just circulates information about the district and specific to the school.
Yeah, I think every
Pretty
school has
visual.
one in the front. That was an initiative a couple of years ago where we made sure every school at the front of the foyer, where parents wait,
Oh,
that we
just-
have something up
I
there.
think we all just noticed it this year in Pollard, like, I didn't notice that it was there last year. So, okay, then it was me. But yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
informative.
I had a question about the Chromebooks.
Yeah.
Is there any value when you say upgrade the Chromebooks? What do you do with the old ones? Is there any trade-in or
Yeah,
any
it's
value?
a good question. The seniors graduating, we let them keep those Chromebooks. So I should explain the program first. Elementary, or one-to-one Chromebooks, K through grade 12. The K through 5, they keep them in their classes. They're classroom-based in their carts. They're assigned individually to the students of that class. They don't typically take them home. Although we've outfitted because of remote learning period, if they had to, they could. Now, we have bags with power adapters ready to go. Grades 6 through 12, we have the one-to-one program where they actually take them home. Sixth graders incoming get brand-new Chromebooks, and they keep them for 3 years, turn them in grade 8, and then we will clean them up, fix them if they need it, upgrade them if needed, and redistribute them to elementary or wherever needed. They get a new one, grade 9,
Right, freshman.
freshman year, and that will last through the rest of their high school career. When they leave, we just let them keep the Chromebook. For their higher ed or wherever they're going, Chromebooks after 4 years, I can tell you, do not have a lot of value.
Paperweights.
Basically, yeah. They're
What's
not-
the value of a Chromebook new, roughly?
They've gone up a little bit the past couple of years. We used to get them for like $165 a piece. Now we're, because of the supply and demand, I'd say it's closer to 200. So it's not a lot. So after a few years, you can imagine these, these are ready to be written off the books, more or less.
Okay.
So Ken, just looking over the last 3 completed fiscal years, and it was static in 2020, fairly over in 2021, and fairly over last completed fiscal year. Any thoughts on why you'd be looking for less than what we voted last year?
Well, I could say we've done a lot the past couple of years. We've completed a complete Wi-Fi upgrade of the district. We did, the camera project was huge. That was, a big bump up in cost. The access control we also did last year as well. So we've done a lot of projects the past couple of years. And I do like to be level funded as much as possible, but unfortunately, sometimes you get a project or two which is expensive, where you get that big bump up and then you come back down when you don't have a lot going on the next year. So we're just kind of in the low year, I guess. There's not a lot of huge projects out there. You can see some of the smaller ones that we have, but nothing district-wide big project like we've had the past couple of years. And that's probably why you've seen it come down.
So, as a follow-up on the cameras, that was a kind of a prevailing message during all the facility tours that they all want more, right? Middle school, high school. I believe I even heard it in some of the elementary schools as well, but mainly up at the middle school and the high school level. Just the building principals felt that if it was possible, that'd be like one of their asks. Are you aware of this?
Yes,
that they're
yeah,
looking for
absolutely. I
more?
sit on the safety committee, we've talked about it. I do have a line item for more cameras. However, we have a grant or 2 out there where we're waiting for those to come through, hopefully, that will fund the vast majority of these
Oh, wow,
additions. Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's wait for that.
Yeah,
I did,
we're waiting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so you have some built in here, but you expect
Right,
potentially
right.
get these
We're
grants.
very hopeful that, that was specifically, that grant was for security cameras, I believe, that the one we really went for, so. I
Yeah,
don't see why it wouldn't go through, but I guess you never know. I can't promise anything, of course.
yeah.
Yep.
It's a couple of security grants. Actually, Carrie applied for those.
Nice job, Carrie.
Thank
And it
you.
was for, we also put the doors, the front doors in the high school, which are in very much disrepair right now. But that's a $35,000 expense to replace doors, so I'm hoping to get some grant money for that. So, yeah.
One thing that
security
I heard on the junior high tour was that there were a number of real dead zones. Is that baked in here? And they were, I think, looking for some extenders?
I got to talk to, I don't believe that's the case.
Okay.
I'm going to talk, I followed up on that, and I got to address it. I don't think it's a dead zone. Bottom line, I don't think there's a big problem there. However, that was before we did the Wi-Fi upgrade. We literally
Okay.
started putting those brand-new access points in maybe 10 days ago.
Oh.
Not even. So I'm going to go back, and
that's
we're going to
responsive, yeah.
obviously, test it out and everything, but
I think the tour was more than 10 days ago, wasn't it? The middle school?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
yeah, like we actually budgeted for this and planned it out in April, but because of supply chain issues, we just got the access points in a couple weeks ago, so we've
long as you're aware.
going through
Excellent.
I know this campus is done, we're just about done with the elementary schools. So these are more robust, bigger range, better range access points.
Yeah, and these are those projects that were additional last year. Some of the capital funding that we got, that the school board allocated to some of the projects for the access point with the badges and the cameras and the not the cameras but the wireless. Those
The
projects
access,
were
yeah.
not in the budget, in his budget, but they were
In the,
the,
That money
some of
back
the
in
capital
there, yeah.
projects that the school board approved.
We did the one replacement with the Wi-Fi, but we bought extra. So if there is actually a dead zone somewhere, we have extra APs to deploy them. It's just waiting.
Any other questions for Ken? All right, thanks
Thank
very
you.
much, Ken.
Thank you for your work.
And
Okay. Next on the agenda is the superintendent report, which we will hear from you on that, Maria.
Yes, so the superintendent couldn't be here today. Right now, in the district, we're obviously in budget mode. All the principals and directors are working in the budgets. And that's what the focus is right now. The other thing is the union negotiations. So we are committed to that. We have been meeting every week. We have pretty much a meeting every night. So it has been a lot. I am hopeful and very hopeful that we will reach agreements with these unions. We want nothing, at least in this office, nothing but to give our employees and treat them with the respect that they deserve for what they do. That's the minimum that we can do, so that's good. That's going well as well. Tomorrow at the football game, we have a food drive. So if anybody's watching, if you bring a can, a food donation of any can good, you can get to the game for free. And aside from that, well, it's good to help others or help people in need. I think that's what we have for updates.
Okay.
I also have we changed a couple of the meetings in the schedule. So we have technology today, we have transportation today. But due to the driver challenge, not all the transportation companies are ready to apply for, to do bids for us. So it's a challenge. The whole school transportation world out there is wild. We keep experiencing every week, we're down between 5 and 10 drivers a week. So we have to move that because the RFP, we're still waiting for the bids.
Okay.
so we'll just swap those two.
So we swapped the SAU and transportation for the technology.
For tonight, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I know they do this at the school board sometimes, but just on what you said about the food drive tomorrow night and the football team, if you like football, my kids went through the whole band program and we went to every game, but what I saw 2 weeks ago at the home game was like, I felt like I was watching like a high stakes college game or an NFL game. It was unbelievable. So if you get a chance to go and see these kids play, they're in Division I now and they are legit. So it was just awesome, and they had apparently an amazing game against Winnicott and beat them last week. So it's definitely worth your time, and obviously, more canned goods for the food drive. So, all right, thanks, Maria.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's go to reports of committees. Anything on the CIP committee?
We are
Recently.
meeting Tuesday,
The 27th.
27th.
Okay. So there haven't been any
We
meetings
have
since
not
the
had
last
any
one?
meetings since we talked last.
Okay.
And we did have a strategic plan meeting.
Yep. Do tell, Sue.
It was open-ended and a lot of discussion. The superintendent had other strategic plans from other communities for us to look at. And we looked at our current strategic plan.
And a previous one as well?
And I suggested we go back and look at the one that replaced, so we could see the side by side. They weren't aware that there was one. We found it. It's online, and we looked at that, and we talked about the school board wanting our recommendation or to discuss about a consultant, and we weren't ready to say that's what we need. I suggested that if you took the template, if you looked at, we had Londonderry's, our own, one other one, maybe Interlakes. The pattern, there's a template that you follow. You make goals, you make subcommittees, you ask for investing from the stakeholders in the community. The committee right now needs to have some other kind of members if we're gonna break into subcommittees.
Public input is public.
Of course,
Yep.
it needs to have some parents, it needs to have some teachers, some other staff. Right now, it's administration and me. And two school board members. Mr. Kellen is the chair. It was kind of a interesting discussion, roundtable discussion. Where we're headed next is to kind of look at Sandy Allaire suggested a survey to go out, a one-question survey, something like, where do you want your child to be when they finish high school? And I think they'll get fairly reasonable answers from that. You know, what do you want them to accomplish? I think that'll just feed into what we already have as a mission. I don't see the school district changing their mission statement, but maybe they would. And we haven't really finished the one we're on. I kept pointing out, there's things on this strategic plan they didn't even get close to finishing. 20 and 21, you can't check those boxes off. You've got things you can finish, so there's a continuance. You could certainly slide those along into your next strategic plan. It was an interesting meeting. We'll see
Awesome.
what
And-
happens next week.
It's next week, right? The 28th?
It's Wednesday at 4:30,
Okay,
unless they change their mind again.
great. And I know there's some advertisements out there to try to get the public involved.
Businesses, I hope to get some parents interested, and I hope they choose some teachers,
Okay.
I'll say staff employees, staff members.
Now, when you say parents, is this something that's just open to the public, they decide, or these be appointed through?
They'd probably see who'd be interested.
What would be the
and then,
contact?
Yeah, you know, we don't want 1,000 people on the committee, but
contact?
I would contact, the chair is Mr. Kellen.
Okay,
Kelly.
Kelly?
Kelly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salvage.
Oh, with the
She's
SAU.
Chris's executive assistant.
So contact the assistant.
Yeah, the office of the superintendent. You can call here. It will be directed.
What is the general number that they'd be looking for as far as participants?
Have to have at least 2 or 3. It's a time commitment. It's a lot of jumping around and seeing where we'd be going.
Looks like, I think there's a meeting next week and then there's another one the following week.
Yeah, the 28th and then something in October. I kept changing, I crossed it off my calendar 10 times. They were having a hard time finding a date.
I see the 28th and then another one on the 5th.
We changed that, so
Oh, they did.
maybe they put that back in. The last time I knew I crossed it off, so. For right now, it's definitely next week.
Okay,
So,
okay. Thank you, Sue. I'll just briefly mention that the facility tours are done. Unfortunately, I had to miss the one last night that was Pollard and Atkinson, but I did go with many of you on the middle school, the high school, and both Sandown North, Sandown Central, and Danville. Michael, I know you were at some of those as well. I mean, we had a good amount of budget committee members. We had a good amount of school board members. Not so much on the public. So,
Yeah.
But we got the flyers out. We'll try it again next year. Maybe we'll try something different. Maybe food trucks.
Well, we also had coverage, right?
Yes, Dean was there with his camera, and it's all been blasted out there on the middle school Facebook group, the high school, some of the various district groups that are out there on Facebook. I'm assuming the website as well.
Yeah, it was mostly on the social media, but I think we're gonna be following up with a more detailed presentation.
Right. So anyone from the public can get a real good bird's eye view, but you know, it's definitely, I'd like to see more, and we'll just keep on it. You know, next year maybe we'll get a few more people to join, and but we did have a lot of good discussion, and Carl, you know, showed us every nook and cranny of every building along with the principals, and you know, there's a few buildings that, look, I'll just say that our janitorial staff and our maintenance crews are just top notch, and they are doing everything you can possibly do to make these buildings shine as much as possible. But there's some age.
I got to tell you the same thing. When you walk through these buildings, it's rather impressive.
You can eat off the floor.
It's very, very well kept up. So
Yeah.
kudos to our staff that work in all these buildings.
Yep. Yep. All right, and next we'll move on to any reports from the school board.
Yeah, we've been extraordinarily busy, as you heard earlier, for negotiations, active with curriculum and assessment, which, you know, that actually turns out to be quite a fun committee. Also, policies and procedures, we are severely backlogged and tackling everything from bathroom policy, bullying policies, disciplinary policies for students, staff, what to do with students whose parents move out of district and apply to be in district. It is not quite overwhelming, but it's really quite a heavy lift. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I know some of the public, you know, I will get emails or Facebook messengers, et cetera. Hey, when are you addressing this? When are you addressing that? It's a process. We're pushing these rocks up the hill, and we're addressing all we can. Some of the issues and policies especially are severely outdated, so we're making a concerted effort to prioritize and address the ones that are most, you know, time urgent. So it's a busy season right now.
Okay.
Oh, also wanted to mention, I think it's the 24-hour play that's happening at the PAC on Saturday. For anybody that is interested or has ever been involved with it, you know what a wild ride it can be. It's a great show, put on by the kids, written by the kids, acted by the kids, directed by the kids within a 24-hour period. So it is.
Stay all night there in the pack.
Oh, they do. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've been fortunate enough to be the beneficiary of having a child go through that process a couple times, and it's one of the hidden gems that we have to offer.
Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Anything for other business?
No?
Don't think so.
Actually, thank you for recognizing the work of our cleaning staff. I know that means a lot to them. They
Absolutely.
take a lot of
That's pretty
pride on
amazing.
what they do.
Before we close, on that note, and speaking of recognizing, Sue, would you like to just mention a word or two about the event that you helped coordinate and participated in last night?
Oh, we recognized, wonderful time, we recognized the 20 and 21 retirees from SAU 55 Timberlane School District. We put on a soiree over at Zorvino's, appetizers, past apps, big cake, lots of photographs by you-know-who over there, and he did some great photography. Huge smiles. That group obviously wanted to be recognized. And we presented them with Timberlane bowls, candy-sized bowls. They're lovely, and they were thrilled with those. Everybody left with smiles on their faces. We're going to do it again in the spring of '23, but it'll be for the 22 and 23 retirees. And I suspect the committee will stick with doing it over at Zorvino's.
Good time there, huh?
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful venue. We had a lot of personal attention from the Zanella family, and just a warm feeling over there, and so we're gonna do it again. The committee was great. It was Diane Nye and Patty Mangini from the high school. They worked endless hours. Heather Greenfield from Human Resources here was just a huge help getting all the nuts and bolts in a row. Diana Elwell from the middle school doing a lot of phone calls for us. Kate Sherman DeRoche, the nurse at Pollard, just do anything that she could possibly do to help. She was our greeter at the door, made sure everybody had a little something before we started. And then we had 3 or 4 retirees who wanted to jump on. We had Louise Pajek, so she took care of music. It was lovely. We had a Timberlane trio. It was lovely. So it really felt like a Timberlane. And when I spoke, I talked about loyalty. This is a loyal group of staff. It included a lot of long-time staff here. So they were thrilled to be recognized. And it was a good time.
Great.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue. Okay, future agenda, we are meeting on the 13th, and we will be seeing presentations for Atkinson, Sandown North, Sandown Central, Danville Elementary, and Pollard Elementary. So with that, I am going to, oh, yes, Mike?
So is it worth mentioning our vacancy?
Yes, why don't you do that, since it's from your town?
Oh, this district is looking for a representative from the town of Plastow to fill. If you're interested, you can send a letter of interest to the chair. Is that correct? That's where it's going?
Well, I think we're having them sent to
Yeah, the SAU.
The SAU office.
the SAU office.
So if
yeah.
you're interested in this position, contact the SAU. What you'd be doing is filling in for 1 year. So it's a great way to get a feel for what the committee's all about. You'd ride out through this budget season. Your appointment would end in March of '23, and if you're interested at that point, you would run officially on the ballot with other people.
Yes.
And
Correct.
so we could use the help. It's a great committee. We've basically formed the budget in about 4 months, and then so September, October, November, December. And then the months of January, February, we have a public hearing, deliberative session, and then we go to vote in March. So it's a great way to help the community, and please consider it.
Yeah, and definitely step up and represent the town of Plastow, because there's 3 seats and only 2 filled right now, so we would love to welcome you to our ranks.
Can we also get the school board to make the same announcement?
You bet. You bet.
Okay.
I think the more times people hear it. And then lastly, what's this meeting on December 8th, this joint one with the school board? Just something specific we're doing?
That one's still in flux. We're still working on what the potential agenda might be. I'm gonna draft something up and then have Steve from the school board draft something up, but it's just more of a collaborative meeting to talk about what they see, what their vision is. Kind of something we've been toying around with every year, but we just haven't actually got it done yet. But I think I feel pretty positive that we could make that meeting happen this year.
And
It would
then,
be here,
right,
during one of our meetings.
I'm wondering if we should try for around that time. We talked about it in the spring, before we wrapped up the last one, was to have somebody from our state legislature that's on one of the subcommittees about this voucher program to tell us where the state's heading. I think it'd be great to have somebody come in unbiased, tell us what the state's doing versus what they wanted to do, and see how it may affect us going down the road.
Okay. Would it be that lady that provided that information?
She is the School Board Association rep, technically not a state rep, but she would be more than happy to come in if you would like.
Let me back up. They don't have to be a state rep.
Okay.
I know the state has a subcommittee working on this, but anybody who's a resident expert on this topic,
Would you consider her to be that, Michael? You know who I'm talking about?
I don't know who this person is directly. I know you're speaking highly of her.
She is very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. She is I can look up her title right now, actually.
I mean, that's a great starting point. right there. If we can
She
try
said
and
she
book.
has no problem coming and talking to everybody. She'll come to a meeting, we'll get on the phone, anything you need.
So if we can,
Okay.
Do that during that same meeting?
well, that would be great. If we can get this valuable information to the school board, to the budget committee, to the community, what the state might be looking to do and what is the effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be worthwhile.
Okay.
Good call.
So maybe if we have, I don't know, is it worth having Carrie reach out to this person? See if they have an interest, maybe get them on the calendar?
Yeah, we can reach out.
So, look, I'm just throwing stuff out, so push it back to the school board, see if they have an interest.
Yeah, we have discussed it. I don't remember whether, I think it was during public, that was, maybe it was non-public, I don't remember. But that had been batted around. I don't remember where it landed, but we'll pick it back up. Thank you.
She's the Director of Governmental Relations.
Perfect.
Yep.
There you go.
I mean, some of the numbers that you had sent around, I'm assuming most people have seen them.
No.
I didn't hand them out to everybody.
So some of the numbers, the state, correct me if I'm wrong, budgeted 130 grand roughly. So think about this math. If you gave out roughly $5,000 per student, 130 grand gives you what? 25 students roughly? For the state.
26.
For the state. And they're only off because they're off by 8 million.
Right, right. They never thought as many
But there was some
would
other,
take advantage of the program.
this is some of the other stuff I would love to hear from this woman, is you qualify once. You qualify the first year, and then if your income in the household changes, let's say it goes up, there's no more requalifying. There's just a bunch of information that I just would like to hear laid on the table.
Okay. I'll add it to the agenda for that day, and we'll see if she can do it.
I think it's really important for everyone in the community to hear about it, for sure. I agree with that.
All right.
And thank you, Carrie, for getting this information.
Of course. That's actually an email from her that I broke up into subsections,
Right.
but that is her words.
Okay. All right, thanks, Michael. With that, I am going to adjourn. It is 7:57. We'll see you on the 13th.
You still need